when I exercise, I got to throw something on or I'm sitting there with a towel because there's nothing to catch the sweat.
Yep.
I am not anti-headband for everybody. For Kevin Huerter, very specifically, I never thought it was a great look, but okay, maybe it's not a fashion thing. Okay, that's fine. But you ditch it for a game and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it goes horribly. And you go, okay, at halftime, I'm going to put the headband back on. Okay, I just wanted to see him try it. Just give it a little sprinkle. And now he is. I'm so thrilled for him. I'm so thrilled for Kevin Huerter. He's so back. I just start him now. Let's start
I love
him.
it.
Get him 15 shots a game. Can Kevin Huerter score 20 a night? I think he can.
I think he can.
Kevin Huerter an all-star? Maybe. I'm so fired up. No, I legitimately yesterday, I retweeted old tweets of me saying he needed to get rid of the headband. I feel so vindicated right now. I know he doesn't listen to the show, but if he did, like part of me in my head canon, he was like, you know what? This year, Kyle's right.
That's right.
I'm ditching the headband.
I'm following what Kyle's lead on this one.
I think that's what it is.
Hey, look, I think you got to mix it up at some point. And you got to figure out what, whatever it is that you need to do to get right.
Yeah.
He needs to try.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was my point last year.
Look at De'Aaron Fox. Like his look, his entire look.
It's crazy.
Was like the Dragon Ball Z look coming into the league for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Gone. Now he's a dad.
Yep.
Now he's now
he's an adult.
He is an adult. That was
He's a distinguished person.
We had that discussion a little bit like on media day, just how weird it was that this is his 8th season in the league.
A lot changes in 8 years.
8th season with the Sacramento Kings. That he came into the league as like a 19-year-old. I don't know. It's wild. So absolutely crazy. When he started with the Kings, my oldest was like 13.
Yeah.
Now we can drink at a bar.
Yeah, man. Crazy. Sports years are so weird.
Yeah. I agree.
Like a 27-year-old. I run into a 27-year-old now and I'm like, oh, you're a baby. Like, oh, you have some. I hear an NFL player is turning 27. It's like, oh my gosh. I know more years he got left.
And the funny, De'Aaron will be 27 in December. Where we can't,
Oh, he's 26.
Yeah, he's 26.
That's so wild, man. In my brain, every player is 26 when they enter the league.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's just, you kind of enter the league, but like, no, these are ostensibly children entering the NBA. That's so nuts. Anyways, let's stick on Kevin Huerter, but for real.
Okay.
Even though the headband thing is definitely it's kind of a joke, but not really.
Okay.
Because as a superstitious person, I genuinely believed that was a move he should make. And now he's done it. So, Mike Brown talked a little bit about Kevin Huerter yesterday.
Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Did he mention the headband?
He didn't mention the headband, but I asked him a question yesterday because, like, look, we really focused on the Keon Ellis situation the day before, and I, like, in all honesty, if we're gonna ask a bunch of questions about Keon Ellis, we should probably be asking a bunch of questions about Kevin Huerter as well. And I thought it was funny. Mike brought up that he's got like the red like penny on. He's the
no contact jersey.
Yeah, the no contact jersey. He compared him to Brock Purdy. And then what was his line about Brock Purdy?
He said that this year he's making more than Brock Purdy, but he won't next year.
Yes, exactly.
Unless Kevin Huerter becomes a $60+ million a year player overnight.
There it is. And I think people, like, if you don't know this, Mike Brown's son is on Kyle Shanahan's staff.
Yes, correct.
He is, last year he was a quality control manager or something like that. And I'm not sure what he is this year, but he's a football coach. And he's working with the 49ers. And then Mike Brown's other son is on his staff in Sacramento.
On a coaching staff?
Yeah.
What staff?
He's on Mike's younger.
On
in Sacramento. Yeah.
The King staff. Okay.
Yeah, he's on the King staff.
I thought we were still talking about football. Like he's on Sac State staff?
No. He's on the King staff.
Got it. Okay. Cameron Brown, he's a defensive QC, a defensive quality control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we had this funny moment where whatever keeps happening here, Malik Monk keeps getting the practice schedule, and then
hilarious,
and then like calling out the drills before Mike can call out the drills, and then telling coach like, hey, practice is over. Like the
Yeah.
schedule says the practice is over,
Yeah.
and we're still here. Why is practice not over? So
Hilarious.
it's a running bit that Malik Monk has been doing the first couple of days at camp,
Mhm.
which I think is a lot of fun. But then I had to inform Mike that clearly I said, "Did you hide the practice sheet from Malik today?" And he said, "No." Well, somehow he got his hands on it, and I said, "Well, clearly, Mike, you have a mole." And
Facts.
Mike's looking around. He's like, "I think I do have a mole." And then, of course, Mike's son is on the court, and he yells over to his son about something, and I said, "Mike, did you consider that your son's a mole?" And he's like, "Oh no!" There's a possibility that his son is the
Dang, throwing
mole
dad under the bus.
who is giving Malik
Snap.
Monk the practice schedule every day to call him out.
Drama.
Drama.
I need a behind the scenes. I need the Kings video team to get on this and make it a whole thing.
It would
This
be
is
fun.
great. This is a great bit.
It would be a fun bit to have try to find out who the mole is, and
what Mike needs to do is, instead of hide the practice schedule, have dummy practice schedules.
Oh yes.
One that goes until like 9 p.m.
Yes.
Like,
Just
we're
like
running
super elongated schedule, like 14 hours of film. And then
6 minutes on the court.
He needs to send like Jay Triano to hide behind like ficuses in the office and try to find out who is making an extra copy of the practice schedule. Like this could be a whole bit.
Yeah, you could have Mike could have it on his phone, and then he could just start, okay, hey, this coach is going to get schedule A, this coach is going to get schedule B. So if Malik looks at the schedule and says, hey, this is the drill, Mike knows, okay, let's see, that's schedule C. All right, Jay Triano is my mole.
That's right. We've got this thing figured out, Kyle.
We're basically in the FBI.
That's right.
Shout out to us.
To get back to the question at hand.
The insiders, where are the feds?
Kevin Huerter is doing much better. He's running, he's practicing. He just can't have any contact at all. So he doesn't get to do the scrimmages. He doesn't get to do, I mean, like when they're doing walkthroughs and they're teaching their offensive and defensive sets, Kevin Huerter's like there with everybody else.
Can you tell when he's moving around and he's doing whatever basketball things he can do, can you tell that he's limited?
No.
Or is he doing everything? It's just literally like, hey, that shoulder might come out if he's hit wrong.
No, I think, well, first of all, that's always the worry, right? That you'll damage the surgically repaired area that it's not fully healed.
Right.
But it's really close. Like he's gonna get cleared like any day.
Right.
From the doctor, and then the team has to clear him, and then he has to go through the ramp up process and all that. So it'll be a little while here, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before I think he'll be on the floor getting like being part of full contact. But the fact is, like, he's not falling behind. He is knowing what they're doing. He understands the changes that are happening in the offense and the defense, and how, the tweaks that they're doing this season versus last. And so I definitely think that there's a progression here that we're going to see from Kevin pretty quickly. And then Mike, he talked about it. Like, there are things that Keon Ellis does on a court that Kevin Huerter can't do. Like defensively, there's just like there's a
night and day.
Yeah, they're diametrically opposed players, right? So you have one player who, is a catch and shoot 3-point specialist. Another one is a 3-point specialist that runs all over the court, and you kind of need both. And so I don't think it's a bad thing to have like a competition here between these guys. And I certainly don't think it's a bad thing that Keon Ellis is getting an early look here, because I do think like defensively, he's the guy that can really be a game changer for you. But I also don't want to discredit who and what Kevin Huerter has been and what he is as a player, because, the other guy that runs like he does in the league is Steph. He's the guy that's always moving and in constant motion. Kevin Huerter probably runs more than anyone else on the team. And I don't even think it's close. And what that does is it moves the defense at all times. And it's the defense is constantly shifting. And Kevin Huerter has a track record as a great 3-point shooter, so you can't leave him open. So again, I think that there's going to come a point where we're going to understand fully that the Kings are a better team with Kevin Huerter on it than without.
Definitely.
And people like there can be disappointment in what happened last year and the season that he had, but at the same time, you can't lose sight of like who the player is at his core. And if you get him in the right frame of mind and you get him working the right way and put him in positions to succeed, that he's proven that he can do it, which we saw over the last 2 years where, I did the numbers. I think their Kings are 78 and 56 with Kevin Huerter as a starter,
Mm-hmm.
and he's super important.
Yeah,
he just is.
Yeah, I do wonder though with the whole competition thing. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Just with his timeline, I don't know that the competition is going to get solved in training camp. I mean, if he's not participating fully in camp, how is he going to be able to credibly compete for a starting spot unless the Kings just kind of know, hey, we know what he can do and what he can't do, and it's up to Keon to kind of win the spot or maintain hold of the spot.
Well, and I think the problem you have if you're Keon Ellis too is that to win the spot, it's not like you're going to go out and put up 12 points a game or 15 points a game. That's not what's going to happen. That's not who Keon Ellis is. So if Keon Ellis does win the spot coming out of camp, the only thing that you can really look at Keon Ellis's like impact, you can look at defensive rating, you can look at his 3-point percentage. You can't really be too tough on him because, what's he going to get, 3 or 4 attempts per game? So we can't sit there and judge him and say, hey man, like we need you to average more than 7 points per game. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to average more than 7 points per game when you've got, DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis and everyone else? I don't think your mic's on.
Nope, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, like I think the way that Keon Ellis will be judged is very specific. It's going to be wins and losses, and I think that that's something that Kevin Huerter has the ability to walk on the court and score 15 or 18 a game,
mm-hmm.
and he will likely be judged by more on his 3-point percentage and more on his raw numbers than a guy like Keon Ellis would be. So Keon, he has every motivation to come out of the game and come out of the gate and really push his team defensively and to get wins.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of an interesting dynamic between these two.
Yeah, it's also an interesting dynamic with Mike Brown because we talked about this yesterday, but it's like Keon Ellis very obviously is the type of player that Mike Brown loves.
Mm-hmm.
And the defensive intensity when he's on the court gets ratcheted up to the place that Mike Brown probably would like it to be. But on the other hand, there's all this stuff we've just talked about with Kevin Huerter and how he just fundamentally changes the way their offense operates, or the not the way their offense operates, but the threats that their offense poses
and the flow of their offense.
Yeah.
And
so that's gonna be something it's interesting to watch throughout the year because I don't think that if Keon Ellis wins the start, I'm expecting Keon Ellis to be the starting shooting guard on night one.
So am I.
But if that's the case, I don't necessarily think that means that he's a lock to start 82 games or as many games as he's healthy.
No.
Like I could absolutely see, hey, the Kings are 4-6 after 10 games, and man, their offense has just kind of been a little bogged down at times. And hey, look, here's Kevin Huerter into the starting lineup to see if they can spark it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's interesting. When we were prepping for the show, we kind of went through again, last year the Kings were 34-25 in games that Kevin Huerter started.
Mm-hmm.
And the stark contrast between what Kevin Huerter looked like in wins and what he looked like in losses.
It's crazy.
It tells you exactly how important Kevin Huerter is to this team. In their wins, he shot 39% from 3. In the losses, he shot 31.9. His field goal percentage was 45.5 in wins, 42.6 in losses. But Kyle, it gets worse. Like his free throw percentage is 7% higher in wins, which tells you that it's like he's a 72% shooter from the free throw line in losses and a 79.3 in wins. And then the offensive and defensive ratings. So his offensive rating in wins is a 120. His defensive rating is a 113. So in wins, Kevin Huerter is a plus 12.4. Like that's incredible. Like he's a
really good player,
top tier player. In the losses, Kevin Huerter's offensive rating was 105, which is atrocious. But he also allowed his offense to dictate his defense. His defense rating drops from a 113 to a 127. And so he's a negative 11.4 in losses. So his difference between wins and losses, he's a 105 to a 120. Well, I'm just going off of what Basketball Reference has.
Got it. Okay.
They're saying he's a negative 11.4.
Got it.
So the difference between him as a starter at 12.4 and him in wins and him in losses, we're literally looking at like a 23.8% difference in player.
Jeez.
In plus minus, in like net plus minus.
That's insane.
It's just wild.
That's
and
ridiculous.
He plays the same exact amount of minutes, 24.2, 24.6, 10.7 points, 9.6 points in losses.
It's just the efficiency.
It's just the efficiency.
Huh.
And so really you can see how, the 3-point shooting really does impact him.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's not hitting his shots, it gets in his head, and then he's just not effective overall,
mm-hmm.
and teams start to pick on him.
I kind of wonder too if he gets cooked defensively on the first 3 possessions of the game, if he's in the back of his mind going, "Oh my God, I'm going to get pulled," like,
or "Oh my gosh, I have to make it up on the other side of the ball."
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch all year, man.
Yeah,
and we talked about his trade value yesterday as well. How that kind of plays into it.
Yeah,
and how, because I mean, Kevin Huerter they could play him 0 minutes, and there are still teams who are going to value Kevin Huerter at the trade deadline. But if he's having a good year and the Kings need a spark or need to make a move in February ahead of the deadline, having Kevin Huerter maximize his trade value would be helpful for sure.
No, I think so too. But at the same time, like, I think the Kings could be a really, really powerful team with Kevin Huerter in one of the 2 roles.
Sure.
Like, why not? If Kevin Huerter is one of your top 6, 7, 8 players,
mm-hmm.
then this team, and that doesn't mean he's got to be a starter. Doesn't mean he's got to be on the bench. Whatever. However this shakes out, a healthy Kevin Huerter, a Kevin Huerter who is impactful and hitting his shots is better for the Kings than not having a Kevin Huerter on your roster.
And I yes. But also, I don't want to get super far into the weeds. It's semantics, but we talked about it yesterday. He's making $17 million. If the Kings are looking at their team at the deadline and going, "Man, you know what? Hey, we need to get a little bit better." That's the contract that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the contract that yields you the player. It's the contract that makes it so you don't have to gut your team to make a trade.
Yes. 3-point, and this is what we're asking of Kevin Huerter, and then I want to move on to something else real quick, but 38.5. This is their 3-point percentages by year. 38.5, 380, 36.3, 38.9, 40.2. That was the 22-23 year. And then last year down to 36.1. Not even asking him to get back up to 40%.
Yeah, 38.
He's a career 38.2% shooter. If he's doing that, they're set. Like, they're fine. That's all they need. They just need him to not be as susceptible to being ice cold for stretches as he was last year.
Yeah, it can't be feast or famine. He's got to level it out. So if you're gonna be slightly erratic as a 3-point shooter, you got to be slightly erratic within a game, not within weeks.
Yeah,
not within days.
Yep, I'm right there with you. All right, I want to talk real quick about the Thursday night football game tonight, because I want to relate it to the Kings a little bit. The Buccaneers play the Falcons on Thursday night football tonight. We've also got a little baseball to get to here, but the Bucs play the Falcons tonight. Remove the Carolina Panthers. Every NFC South team reminds me of the Kings.
Yeah,
because I look at every single NFC South team and I go, probably not winning a title, but I don't think I want smoke with that team in the playoffs. Like, could that team just kind of win 13 games and be a 2 seed and get a couple of home games and make a little run?
Yeah.
You could talk me into that with the Saints. You could talk me into that with the Bucs. You could talk me into that with the Falcons. Like, and when I was looking at this game today, because I wrote out some King stuff first and I was looking at this game, I was like, man, Tampa Bay and Atlanta, I feel the same about them and the Saints. And I feel about them the way I feel about the Kings.
Yeah. I think what it is you're looking at teams that they aren't the top tier, and there's potential for them to like somehow find the top tier. But the expectations are they're going to be really good teams, just like in a grouping, around the 10-7, 11-6 mark. Right. So those are teams in the NBA that are around the 47 to 51 win mark.
Right.
Like, and then there's a tier above that,
Yeah.
and the teams that you are considering contenders. Which again, in the NFC, like I think there's only really Minnesota is playing as well as anyone. Detroit is the next, and the 49ers I think are still
Mm-hmm.
that next tier. And then there's a bunch of teams that are kind of around that area.
Yeah.
And whether it's the Cowboys, if they can put things together, the Eagles, if they can put things together, the Commanders, if they can prove that they are this juggernaut, that the Daniels is the guy. But yeah, I'm with you. And I keep finding that, like, anytime you're seeing the Bucks, the Falcons, the Saints in a game, like on a Thursday night or a Monday night or whatever,
Yeah.
it's usually a game you're like, you know what, that game is way more interesting
Yes.
than I think it
Yes.
should be.
Yes. I'm locking into this game tonight.
Yeah, I want to watch the game.
I'm going to be dialed.
Yeah, like every single time you're like, hey, I do believe that I want to watch that game.
We'll talk a little bit more. You were mentioning some of the playoff teams in the NFC. I want to go through that a little deeper a little bit later on in the show. Before we move back to the Kings, shout out to the Detroit Tigers, dude. A big shout out, not only for knocking off the Astros, which is awesome. The Detroit Tigers, if you didn't follow, were 52 and this is the team that if you don't follow baseball and you want to root for a team in the playoffs, root for the Tigers.
Okay.
They were 52 and 57 at the trade deadline. They decided to be sellers at the trade deadline. Andrew Chafin, their best reliever, gone. A's legend. Jack Flaherty, their second best starter behind Tarek Skubal, gone. Traded him to the Dodgers. Mark Canha, outfielder, A's legend, gone. Carson Kelly, catcher, gone. Just traded guys away. They brought 8 prospects back. Scott Harris, their GM, had a whole discussion, had a whole press conference about how they feel really good about the team moving forward and this and that. And, the general GM stuff after they sell off a bunch of assets.
Lip service.
Right. And they thought there was all this talk they were going to trade Skubal, who's like going to win the Cy Young this year in the AL. Didn't do it. They again 52 and 57 at the deadline. They finished the year 34 and 19 to sneak into the playoffs. And then in the wild card round in Houston, who had been scorching hot for most of the second half of the year, sweep the Astros, or complete the sweep of the Astros last night. They're moving on to the American League Division Series. Well, they would take on the Cleveland Guardians. Shout out to the Tigers, man. That's awesome.
I think it is awesome. I think, again, when we were looking at the list yesterday, like Tigers, Astros, Kansas City, Baltimore, Mets, Brewers, Braves, Padres, it felt like we're in the 1980s.
Yeah.
It totally did. Like all of these teams were like powerhouses in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now they're back, like, 35 years later. And I like a good story in Major League Baseball. And I also can't stand the Astros.
Yeah.
And so anytime the Astros are losing, I am here
down
for it.
Yeah, man. And baseball is great because a team can just get hot in October and be really hard to beat. The Tigers are far and away the least talented team in the playoffs, and it may not matter. And that's why this is so much fun. There's one game 3 in the wild card round tonight. The wild card series are best of 3. The Padres finished off a sweep of the Braves last night. The Tigers, we just mentioned, finished off the sweep of the Astros. And the Royals beat the Orioles, and they will take on the Yankees in the American League Division Series. One game 3, and that's Mets at Brewers, 4:00 tonight. It is a win or go home game. That series has been a ton of fun, a lot of back and forth. So make sure to tap into that right here on ESPN 1320. The Mets at the Brewers with a trip to the National League Division Series on the line. Baseball, man.
Baseball.
Hell yeah. Love playoff baseball. All right. I also love talking Kings. We're going to continue doing that. You mentioned the NFC and the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. I want to dive into that a little bit further. We'll continue doing that. We have a Devontae Adams trade update for you as well coming up. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're hanging out till noon right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
Okay, so what did you have to tell me that you need? Hi guys, we're back. Sorry. Greg Tabers, are the preseason games nationally televised? Well, first of all, preseason games are never nationally televised. I don't even know if they'll be televised at all.
Bro, what? We got Kings Warriors on ESPN next Wednesday, dog.
Is it really?
I'm dead serious. Let's go.
Okay, so yes.
Come on.
Greg, it is nationally televised. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm 99% certain that's the case.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't. First of all, I think there's 5 preseason games, right? Which is more than usual.
The Sacramento Kings preseason schedule. We've got Wednesday, October 9th on ESPN against Golden State. Friday, 5 games. Friday, October 11th at Golden State. That's on NBA TV.
What?
And then Portland at Utah at Clippers. And they get a week off before the opener.
But those other 3 games aren't televised.
Correct.
And
not nationally.
I don't know if they'll be on.
The Kings stream them, right?
Probably. That's probably where we'll see them. Yeah, it's always a mess.
All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Just want to remind everyone, we're hanging out with you live every day right here on ESPN 1320 from 10 a.m. to noon. We're here every single day. And if you can't listen for all 2 hours, it's totally understand. Totally get it. You can subscribe to the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show podcast. It is the podcast version of this show. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. It's called the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show. It's this exact same program, which is called The Insiders. They just couldn't call the podcast The Insiders for reasons that made my eyes glaze over and my brain melt out of my ears.
It's like when you go to Costco and you go to buy the Costco version of vodka, which is actually made by like Grey Goose or someone.
Sky, right?
Is it? I don't know. There's all kinds of rumors.
I used to know the answer to that, but anyways, go on.
That's what it's like. It's the same thing. It's just in a different package.
Yeah, exactly. If you would like to listen to the Kirkland brand version of this show, that used to be a thing I would hear people say as like a Kirk Cousins is Kirkland brand, pick a good quarterback.
Oh.
And I'd be like, hey, like you're trying to insult that person by comparing them to Kirkland brand. Don't do that.
I know.
I'm in on Kirkland brand, dude.
I think so too.
Like if somebody's Kirkland brand something, I think they're pretty spiffy.
I would agree with you.
Pretty spiffy. What in the world?
What are you saying? So
I think they just got possessed by a ghost from the 1950s. I think that'd be pretty swell.
When I was a kid, they had a whole aisle of generic brand stuff that was all on yellow cans, like yellow cans with like red writing.
What was it called?
It was all generic brand whatever. So like you could get generic brand green beans or generic brand like I don't know, whatever. Like all your canned
Didn't
foods.
they used to sell beer that just had beer on it?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's part of the generic brand. But
got it. Okay.
Like it's where you get the bags of cereal, not the boxes. But like there was always an aisle in a grocery store of like the low end stuff.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's just called Grocery Outlet.
I love Grocery Outlet. Grocery Outlet. I actually don't know if I should.
Yeah.
Shout out to all grocery stores, man. We just love. If a grocery store wants to sponsor the show.
If you'd like to sponsor the show,
we buy a lot of groceries.
We're here for you.
Yeah, we do. We talked quite a bit before the show about Malik Monk, and I think we should talk about it on the show because that's our job. Malik Monk spoke with the media yesterday. We're not going to play the audio because it is NSFW.
Yep.
I think there's something to I'm going to harken back to the 2012 Oakland Athletics for a minute.
Okay.
And I covered FanFest for a different radio station. I went down to FanFest and I got a bunch of audio. And I was sitting there in a media scrum talking to Johnny Gomes. And by sitting there, I mean I was just standing there watching the professionals work. And he said, "This club reminds me of some of the playoff teams I was on in Tampa Bay. Like this is a good team. I feel really good about this team. And the A's weren't supposed to be good in 2012. If you think back, they were not supposed to be a good team. And Johnny Gomes said that, and I remember sitting there going, man, there's something about the assuredness that he said that just makes me feel really good about this year. I don't think this team is going to suck. I just remember like filing that away. It's just such a vivid memory for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then lo and behold, they go on their run and have the iconic game 162 against the Rangers, and they go on to the postseason. Malik Monk is a little bit giving me that vibe this year.
Yeah.
Just with the way he's carrying himself, the messing with Mike Brown stuff, like it feels like this is it feels like they're locked in a way that is meaningful and significant.
Yeah, I think that they're feeling it themselves that this is like probably the most talented team that they've ever put on the floor in Sacramento since the 2000s.
Right, in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly, in like 20 years. I'd also say this, like 2 years ago when they put this team together, and I remember we had gone out for a birthday party to a local brewery in Auburn, which shout out to Auburn. If you're a beer fan and you need a spot, there's
good beer in Auburn.
There's some absolutely phenomenal beer spots. And
Moonraker's in Auburn, right?
Yep, Moonraker.
Love Moonraker.
Yeah, there's a handful of really, really good breweries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Kings fan there, and I was sitting talking to my wife, and my wife like poked me and said, "Hey, I think he wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I was walking by, go grab a beer, said, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" And it was a guy who was a big Kings fan.
Yeah.
And
does he subscribe to the Kings Beat?
I think he did subscribe to the Kings Beat.
Good.
So either way, at that point, the Kings were they just kicked off the season and they were 0-4, and they looked like a train wreck, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had like that season, you thought, oh, there's a bunch of high hopes. And the guy's like, hey, are they going to be okay? Because it kind of feels like, things are already kind of spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, like this team's different. This, like, I've covered this team forever. This team feels different.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be just fine.
Yeah.
They just had a couple of bad beats.
Yeah.
Early in the season. And that's where you get to that point with the team. I think that's where we are today. Like, this is a really good team. You can just see it, like, from top to bottom. Like, do they need other pieces? Do we harp on the fact that they don't have the length and athleticism that they might need at some position? Sure. But the fact is, this team has 10 guys that are like legitimate NBA rotational players for a playoff team.
Yeah.
And they just have a look and a feel of a team that, again, we're not even that concerned whether Kevin Huerter starts or comes off the bench or whether he's ready on game one. Any other year, if your starting shooting guard from the previous 2 seasons was still nursing a shoulder injury, and that your rookie, that your first round pick, that's a lottery pick, is going to miss, half the season at least, everyone would be like doom and gloom, like this is trouble. No, like this team is too deep. They're very, very talented. And not only that, but you add in, they don't just have like talent across the board. They have this crazy high end talent. And so I think this team is going to be really good. And it kind of like, we keep like talking to Malik Monk because, he's the guy that you want to talk to, right? He's a danger zone for media relations because you don't know what he's going to say. He's a wild card. He does drop F-bombs, which, I tried to warn Damien and Kenny. I sent, Damien and Jesse, I said, hey, there's a couple of F-bombs early on. They caught the F-bombs. They missed him, like, dropping the S word later. And it's my bad. Like, I'm sitting here processing video as quickly as possible.
That's not on you.
Yeah. But there's a vibe to him that I think, like, it's so refreshing to see a player who goes from struggling to be in the league to, like in a really bad situation in Charlotte, to finding himself a little bit with the Lakers, but really he found himself as a player, but not really as a person. And then to come to Sacramento and really just blossom and be able to show his entire personality and who he is, and to start finding his voice as a player where he feels like he can step up and lead. all of these things are really fun to watch play out because, like, if you've coached sports or anything else, you see players that come out of their shell and that become something much bigger than anyone thought they could be because they find themselves. I mean, again, like Malik Monk was almost out of the league.
Yeah.
And he had to sign a league minimum deal. And you know how often it is in the NBA that you go from a 4-year guaranteed rookie scale deal to a league minimum deal, and then you find a way to get a 2-year $19 million deal, and then you find a way to get a 4-year $78 million deal. That story doesn't happen.
Nope.
And to see him not only find his home, but then to find his footing and his voice. And like I asked him about it yesterday, and I mean, his answer was just phenomenal. Just like, yeah, like a lot of players don't get this opportunity.
Yeah.
A lot of players are in the league for 4 years for their rookie scale deal and they're out. And then you never hear from them again. And it's because they didn't have a team who gave them a platform, who gave them an opportunity to shine and to become themselves in the league. And we're getting to see that with Malik, and it's something that's totally crazy to watch. But like, I went back and looked at the 2017 draft, and the Kings had the 10th pick. They had the 5th pick in that draft, which of course they took De'Aaron Fox. They also had the 10th pick in the draft, which instead of drafting Malik Monk at number 11 or Bam Adebayo or Donovan Mitchell, they traded to 15 and 20, and then they drafted Frank Mason. So in the early second round, 3 of those guys are out of the league. Like Justin Jackson, maybe in the league a little bit. Harry Giles at number 20. He's in training camp.
Vaguely in the league
right now with Charlotte. But like Justin Jackson's played 64 games in the last 4 years. Frank Mason hasn't played in the league since 2021. Like, and that's not just it. Like, you go to the first round, Frank Ntilikina is out of the league. What's it? Josh Jackson, number 4 pick in the draft, out of the league. Markelle Fultz, the number 1 pick in the draft, is not signed right now. He's out of the league.
Really?
Yes, he's out of the league. As of today, he is out of the league.
The Magic didn't retain him?
No, I looked yesterday because I was writing on it. Lonzo Ball, the number 2 pick in that draft, has barely played in the last 3 years.
He's starting this year, though.
There it is.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and Dennis Smith Jr., the number 9 pick is hanging on by a thread. That is the NBA. There are like 9 players drafted in the first round after Malik Monk that are not in the NBA. And I mean, like Justin Patton was taking a couple of picks after him. Like, there are players, and so that's what you have to like understand, that when you see a player like Keon Ellis find his footing and somehow go from an undrafted player to a two-way to making a team out of training camp to potentially starting in year 3, that's just bonkers.
Crazy.
Because you're up against the fact that there's 60 new players coming in the league every year, 30 of which have guaranteed contracts. That means that 30 players are losing their jobs and are out of the league.
Man.
And it's just this perpetual cycle. So I think there's an appreciation for Malik Monk. That's what I'm getting to. There's an understanding of how close he came to losing it all, and how Sacramento, just for whatever reason, just became the perfect place for him to land at the perfect time in his career. And I think it's the reason why he was so quick to sign. It's the reason why he's not so concerned about whether he's starting or not. He would love to start, but it wasn't the reason why he chose to go, to Orlando or to go to Detroit. The money, again, became like secondary in this whole discussion. Even the money he did take, he takes a 4-year, $78 million deal. The last year is a player option. He could have taken a 3-year deal with only 2 years guaranteed, with the last year being so he could go make more money.
Yeah.
He didn't even do that. He went for security. And I think that's something about the culture and everything that's being built here. So, yeah, while they had a step back last year and they only won 46 games versus 48, like, that doesn't mean that everything is falling apart. Like, this thing is strong, and it can hopefully last through some of these ups and downs.
No, and I think so many of the issues last year goes back to something you said at the beginning. There was, I think that guys like De'Aaron and Malik, and well, Monk got hurt obviously, but De'Aaron and Malik and Domas were kind of, you look down and you go, man, this just, because as an NBA player, you want to go out and win every game, and you have supreme confidence that You're going to be the best player on the court in your matchup in every single game and this and that. But you're also not dumb. Like, you also realistically look down your bench and go, God, like, I don't know if this is it. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
I promise. Like, it's obviously a little bit different because that's their teammates and they got to do what they can to try and figure out how to win games. But I think that some of that stuff last year was them looking and going, this team ain't it, Chief.
Yeah.
We're going to go try and win every game, but hey, we've smoked a bunch of leads and we lost some games we probably shouldn't. And then you go into this year, and now not only did they bring in a player like DeMar DeRozan, which just changes the cachet of your team, it just raises your ceiling, that by itself. Your ceiling and your floor. Bringing a player like that, where it's not just potential, it's not, oh, if he can do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, man, you know what DeMar DeRozan's going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know DeMar DeRozan is a really freaking good player who's done this for a long time. And with that, okay, hey, Devin Carter, once he's back, okay, we like what he brings. And okay, Kevin Huerter's now in a little bit different role, or Keon Ellis is in a little bit different role. And all of a sudden now, at the end of games or through the middle of games, as the Kings are going through their rotations, it's not like, hey, this guy probably shouldn't be on the court. Or, man, they're really missing one guy or two guys. And I think that threading that needle between continuity, but quality continuity, right? Like, the Lakers have continuity too, but in a bad way. The Lakers would have loved to adjust their roster in a lot, and they couldn't, and they didn't.
It's like depth versus quality of depth.
Yeah, right. It's just they have the same players on accident, you know. It's just, and then you have the Kings who have this continuity, and this gets back to the Malik Monk point of all this, is like they're establishing not only a culture on the court of what they want to be as a team, but that culture off the court, like, it matters so much. Go the not comparing the two players, but try and stick with me here. Like, people talk about what Steph Curry as a person does for like the Warriors locker room and their organizational culture. Having a player like Monk find his footing with his personality and the way he is, like, maybe I'm overselling this, but all the stuff that you're saying, all the videos you're posting from camp, all the stuff you're writing at the Kings Beat about like Malik and the position he's now taken with this team, that above all else is giving me confidence that this team is going to be what I think they are. And that's 50 plus wins and comfortably a playoff team. Like, more than DeMar DeRozan, more than like Malik Monk being that dude. Again, this goes back to the Johnny Gomes thing in 2012. It's just like, you know what? Hey, I feel good going into battle with that guy.
No,
maybe I'm overselling it, but man, I just can't shake that feeling.
No, I don't think you are overselling it, because I think we always talk about this, right? That like the Kings have, like, if you rank their top options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And De'Aaron Fox number 1, Domantas Sabonis number 2, they had this moment where it's like, okay, coming into last season, I think there are 4 guys who were number 3, 4, 5, 6, but in no particular order. And it was Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk and Keegan Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that by the end of the season, you kind of felt like, okay, we know who 3 and 4 are. 3 and 4 are now, you know, Malik Monk and Keegan Murray in some sort of combination.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes are now 5 and 6 in some sort of combination, but they've kind of slid back and they're not part of the top 4. Then when you go out and you acquire a player like DeMar DeRozan, and he instantly is your 3rd best player.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it pushes people into a more natural, comfortable position of who they can be as players, who they should be as players. And I think that not only does that work out and like make everybody like feel better about their place in the world and how comfortable they are on the court, what they need to perform and do every single night, but it allows you to add ingredients that mean something different, and allows guys to have voices that maybe they wouldn't have had, because now they know exactly where they are. They know who they are in the system. They know what their pecking order is. And they also know that, like, a guy like Trey Lyles totally found his voice with this team. He might be the 7th, 8th guy on this roster this season, but he now has like a huge voice with it, what's going on with the team. And he's always a quiet, introspective, like respectful guy. But when he says words, they are forceful and
Right.
people listen.
Mhm.
Right. And when Malik Monk walks in the door and he starts throwing jabs and he starts doing what he does, he's trying to lighten the mood. He's bringing a different ingredient. And I would say the same thing about the way that Domantas Sabonis shows up every single day and just outworks and out hustles and out physicals everybody. The
Mhm.
way that De'Aaron Fox comes in and just has this aura about him that he's too cool for school. And it's the right vibe for this team.
Mhm.
He's the right player to be on this team, the leader to be on this team right now. And so it's really cool to kind of see all these pieces fall into place. And you want to see how it all works out. Like we keep talking about, oh, they could win this amount of games. They could also, like, things could go wrong and we don't know.
Right.
But as of right now, like I think that there is a huge amount of like positivity to put within this group because they have it, they exude it, but
Mhm.
also because they are very talented. Like,
Yeah.
again, you cannot
That's a
deny
good team.
the talent is here. It's whether they piece it together and are able to, be respectful on defense and respectable on defense.
Where does it, in that whole thing where you were talking about people's roles and De'Aaron's too cool for school and Demonis is hard hat guy, etc. Where does Keegan fit into that?
Well, and I think that's the most interesting thing because it's almost like a running gag now that Keegan doesn't talk and that Keegan's so quiet. And I think, like, I've talked about this a couple of times. Like, I live in a household.
Speaking Murray.
Yeah. I live in a household with two, like, very, very introverted people.
Okay.
Like, my wife and my oldest son are complete introverts.
Mhm.
Me and my youngest are like two peas in a pod. We're out there. We are social butterflies. We're people who can walk into any room and just feel comfortable and just like start hanging out.
Yeah.
Right. That's not what my wife or my oldest son are at all. So I'm used to the dynamic of there being a quiet person in the room. And also, like, while you can push a quiet person to like try to, sort of put themselves out there more, what you have to understand is that can just be who they are. And it doesn't mean that they aren't successful. It doesn't mean that they can't, do whatever it is you need them to do. And I think the biggest concern that I think some people have about Keegan is you're kind of hearing it now where it's always been like, hey, we want you to, to be more talkative. We want you to be more of the conversation. And I think it's more at this point that they want to make sure that he's living his best life, because there's a thing that happens in the NBA where certain players, they just become so locked in. Like, and I'll relay this to Christian McCaffrey. Like, Ed McCaffrey just talked about his son and how his son is a workaholic times 10 and how he's just so over the top that he's injured himself. Like, he got married and he didn't go on a honeymoon because he had to work out more. Right. And I think that there is this moment with players where, the people used to harp on Marvin Bagley all the time because he's a rapper. Like, I don't have any problem with Marvin Bagley being a rapper. Like, these guys have to have lives outside of basketball.
No doubt.
And I think that that's where we're starting to see the Kings players start to nudge Keegan that, look, man, it can't just be about basketball 365 days a year. You have to have more.
Yeah.
You have to fulfill yourself in other ways. And I believe that that's what we're seeing. We're seeing them pushing him, but it's maybe the way that they're doing it, they don't understand what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is trying to draw him out and to get him to enjoy life more and to understand that, look, you're 23, 24 years old. You got millions of dollars. You need to live. You need to live a little bit. And it can't just be eat, drink, and sleep basketball, because that's not how you fulfill yourself as a person.
Yeah.
And it's not the best version of you on the court. If you're just this, you need to be more than just this.
Yeah.
And so I think it's intriguing. Like, all of these things are dynamics that I love, but watching it play out in such a dramatic way with the Kings, where you have this gigantic, like bright, shiny star that is Malik Monk, that just says the F-bomb all the time, and just like everything out of his mouth is intriguing and funny and crazy. And then you have this other reserve person. Like, both of those guys are needed so badly on this team, and like this sort of the marriage of this whole thing is really fun to watch and see how it all how all the ingredients mix into the giant pot of chili and how they all simmer in together, but also how a guy like Malik has found himself. There we have Damian Barley, where a guy like Malik has found himself and he's doing his thing, and he wants Keegan to find himself too.
Sure.
But Keegan finding himself and Malik finding himself are two totally different,
very different things.
Very different things. And it's interesting. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch it play out. And it's fun to watch Keegan just get very uncomfortable when he's talking about all of this stuff.
If you gave me the money an NBA rookie gets at age 21, buddy, would not be here today.
Yeah.
Does he really not do anything? Does he not vacation?
I don't know, man. I think he does. Like,
Dude,
I know a
catch
little.
me at the Amalfi Coast all the time.
Yeah.
If I'm Keegan Murray,
I know he does. He does have a life outside of basketball.
I would hope so, man.
But I also think that there's concern that he needs more. And it, like,
does he want to come work at a radio station?
There we go.
I mean, I don't know. Get out of his shell a little bit.
Yeah.
Have some interest outside of basketball. Yeah, we got you here. Want to talk some NFL?
It's okay to be quiet. It is. And it's okay to be noisy.
It's okay to be quiet insofar as like that's who you are as a person. That can't then translate to the basketball court where you're shutting yourself out of the offense because you don't want to insert yourself.
Yeah.
And that is where that ties back for me. But we'll keep talking about Keegan. He's obviously one of the most important players for the Kings. So he will continue to be a topic of conversation throughout this year. What are the expectations like for the Kings? And I was looking across the Eastern and the Western conferences. We're gonna have a second person in for the handoff today. I was looking at across the Western and Eastern conferences, and we're gonna talk about it. I don't have a good tease for it. We're gonna talk about the rest of the West and a little bit about the East. The East stinks. That's the moral of that story. Okay, we'll be back in a second. That's James and Kyle. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube.
Who do we have coming in? Both?
No. Katie from the Wake Up Call is coming in.
Oh. Are we going to talk
Keegan
about
golfs a lot?
Are we going to talk about Disneyland?
Yes.
Keegan golfs a lot, but I also know he moved into a neighborhood we have friends that live in that neighborhood, and like they have it's a nice spot. Like it has amenities that gives them other things to do. So hang on, I'll move my bag.
Okay.
What up, dude?
A Kith shirt? That's crazy.
Hey, we have two people coming in.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm moving.
That is insane.
Will
Like that's just on purpose. Like now that's flagrant.
Will you
That's flagrant.
Yo.
I haven't drank any water today. That's so bad.
It's not great for you, Kyle. I haven't either. This is interesting. Trent is a locker room attendant, and he has been for a long time. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And he's a nice kid. I like Trent. Yeah, this is a good question. Oh, well, I guess we have things going on here in the studio today. I was going to say,
what was it?
This question right here.
Joe is busy.
Yeah, I thought like we were supposed to have him on Thursdays, but then yeah.
We have our big annual whole company meeting coming up here. So this little like shindig in the office, and it's just like I don't know how everybody. I don't know how everybody's family does Thanksgiving, but it's like when you're hosting Thanksgiving, and it's like the morning of, and the cooking starts, and it's like we got people coming over, so we need that table set up, and we need that cleaned up in the backyard, and we need this to go upstairs, and we need this tablecloth out, and I need this iron, and I need this to go in the oven. It's like that, but in an office.
Remember,
I'm terrified. As soon as the show's over, I'm gonna beeline it to Studio One, and I'm gonna stay in there until I leave because I don't want to get caught up doing anything.
I'm gonna get the heck out of here.
Yeah, bounce.
Kings just moved practice to 11:30 today, so there's no way for me to make it.
I didn't prepare an hour by myself, so you guys stick around. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm here. Yeah, it's fine. I'll be there tomorrow. Tomorrow's practice at 1, and then I'll be back here. Hmm.
Hour number 2. Don't become too good at your job, folks. It's not when you work in media.
Yeah.
That's James Sam. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Hanging out with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. Apparently, Katie from the Wake Up Call is going to be here for the handoff about 11:40, 11:45.
Well, they're just BFFs now because they're going to Disneyland together. They're coming in here. Are they coming in here to mock us?
No.
And to tell us how they're going to Disneyland and we're not?
Katie, I guess, thought that it was so funny that I wanted to talk about Disneyland. And I don't know what's funny about this.
I don't get it either.
This is not a bit, dude.
No.
That is one of my very favorite places in the universe. Now, granted, differently now. I still like, but like as a kid, obviously, there's like the magic of it, right? And it's like, oh my God, it's the rides, and it's just there's so much going on. Well, as an adult, I go like the architecture and the Imagineering and all those different things, and seeing like friends or friends' children get to enjoy it for the first time. Mm-hmm. Like that's why I like going now. Also, when I go to Disneyland, it typically means I'm not working at all that day, which is always a good day for me.
Oh yeah, just taking.
I think I just associate it with time off.
That's nice.
It's just I know a Disneyland trip means, oh sweet, we're going to the park on Saturday. Great, not working Saturday.
I think for me, like my family, my sons just went to Disneyland not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest did, my youngest was going to, but then he got a job. Like every time they want to go, you don't want to go like during peak season.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time they want to go, it's the middle of my season. And I'm just like,
right. Brutal.
So I haven't been able to go for
All-Star Weekend?
Well, maybe I could go All-Star Weekend, but if isn't All-Star Weekend in
February?
Yeah, isn't it in the Bay Area this year?
Oh yeah, and shoot, that's right.
We're probably going to be there on like some sort of row. Yeah, I don't know.
I tried.
There you go. You tried.
What are you going to do? You know, somebody asked me, is Disneyland or Disney World better? Apples and oranges.
Yeah,
I prefer Disneyland because it's where I grew up going. It's more familiar for me.
I feel the same way.
But Disney World is an unbelievable experience.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, the 4 parks, the different hotels you can stay at on property. They have like water parks. They've got like mini golf courses. It is insane. It's like you got to go for 2 weeks to fully experience Orlando.
Yeah,
Disney World. You can cover Disneyland in a couple days.
Yeah, I think Disneyland, like, I don't even love going to California at this point. I just love the nostalgia of the regular park. Are you a Pins guy or no?
No. My wife was big into the Pins for a while, and we've fallen off that wagon a little bit, mostly because we didn't ever do anything with them.
You don't have a necklace for them?
No, no.
Okay.
It just Never been a thing I'm into, and that's not the kind of thing. Like if you were a kid, if you were 10 and you started doing that, I could see, or if you had a kid and they were young and started doing that, I could see it being a thing. But I'm not going to start doing that at 34 years old.
Okay.
It doesn't.
I think
it doesn't strike me.
the problem that I have is that the pins they keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And so
they're obnoxious.
Like the pin necklace weighs like 6 pounds. So
yeah.
when you're walking all day long, by the end of the day, you're like, man, my neck is sore. It's from the stupid pins.
Well, that that was the other. So when the first couple times my wife and I went to Disneyland, she was into the pin collecting.
Mhm.
And so we'd go in and we'd look at pins, and it is just insane.
Oh yeah.
The selection they have. But okay, finally find a couple we like. All right, cool, copped. But then you go up to the counter and it's like, hey, are you an annual pass holder? Here's this special annual pass holder pin. No, but we do have the Chase credit card. Oh, well, here's the Chase credit card pin. And now all of a sudden it's like, do we get an annual pass because we want to get this pin? Right. And that's what, and so it just kind of turned into, hey, you know what? Instead of spending $25 on these couple of pins, we'll use that $25 on something else.
Beverages in the park.
Beverages, yeah, typically.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it goes.
We got sidetracked.
That's fine. I want to talk about expectations for the Kings this year, because we keep talking about 50+ wins. And like you said, that's obviously this time of year, every team, save for like the Hornets.
Mhm.
But even the Hornets, if we called somebody from our Charlotte station and said, hey, let's talk Hornets, I guarantee they could paint a rosy picture of the season ahead.
Especially now they have DaQuan Jeffries.
Yeah, the DaQuan Jeffries edition.
Harry Giles.
They have Harry Giles, obviously. LaMelo Ball will be back. Like, they could tell you, yep, going to win more games. This is a rebuilding year. Feel really good about the direction of the team. That's what every single team in the league is going to tell you right now.
Mhm.
But like you said, I mean, things can go sideways for the Kings or for any team. There's weird things happen during the NBA season, right? You miss a couple games to injury, you lose a game you shouldn't. All of a sudden, you lose 7 in a row, and things get weird. Anyways, is it a disappointment if the Kings don't win 50+ this year? Like that's the expectation I've set, and I want to. That's me looking at this from where I look at it. But I want to know from Kings fans, like, you looking at this going, hey, 50+ wins or failure of a season? Where are we at?
I
Talk
think
to me.
that people out there on the streets are feeling
You got your ear to the
season.
streets.
Yeah, they're
Nice.
feeling a 50-win season,
Uh-huh.
right? But I think there's also, like, if it's 49, if it's 51, if it's 55, like, I don't think anyone really knows. I would say this, Kyle.
Mhm.
Last year, on December 26th, the Kings went to Portland and lost to the Blazers. Inexcusable. 130 to 117.
So bad,
to
dude.
113. A couple of days later, a week and a half later, they hosted the Charlotte Hornets, lost 111 to 104. Like,
Mhm.
just totally inexcusable. Like, beyond inexcusable. And let's see, we're not done. They on February 7th, right? They just came home from a 7-game road trip. They
Was that the Bulls
hosted
game?
the Detroit Pistons, and they
Oh.
lost to the Detroit Pistons 133 to 120.
Yikes.
They're, like, so unacceptable. It's not even funny. And there's one more. So you mentioned the Bulls game. The Bulls game, like, the Bulls are a 500-ish team.
Yeah.
That happens. You lose. I mean, you don't want to lose at home, but 113
Didn't
to
they
109.
smoke a late lead?
Well, yeah,
Weren't they have
DeMar
10
DeRozan
with like 3 minutes left?
DeMar DeRozan scored 19 in the fourth quarter and beat them.
What day was that?
It is March 4th, Monday, March 4th.
March 4th. I feel like they led by a lot of points in that game at one point.
Yeah, I think they did as well. And then the other,
Yeah, the Bulls outscored them by 18 in the fourth quarter and won by 4.
yeah, there you go.
Oof.
So they were up 14 going to the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last one is they went to Toronto and beat the Raptors, and then they traveled to Washington and lost to the Wizards 109-102. And then they finished that 3-game road trip with a 109-107 win in Orlando, which is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So you go 2-3 on the trip, but that one loss in the middle, again, they lost to the 4 worst teams in the league. I don't think there's any question. I mean, if you're gonna lose games to Charlotte, Detroit, Washington, and Portland, then you kind of don't deserve to make the playoffs, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if let's just say they won those games, and I'm not taking any other games the rest of the season that win or lose or anything else, but if you would have won those games and you would have had a 50-win season, you would have been a playoff team, not a play-in team. You would have been a team that was right there. And the fact is that they didn't win those games. They would have been the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They would have been the 6th seed above the Phoenix Suns.
Mhm.
They would have played the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round of the playoffs. Who knows what would have happened? They're 2-1 against the Timberwolves on the season.
Yeah.
So this is a game of inches, and
Yeah.
like you can't.
And those were just
Inexcusable. That's what they were.
You just listed the bad teams they lost to. That doesn't even count the number of times they were, hey, hit this free throw and the game's over. Or weren't they up like 12 on Phoenix in Phoenix?
Yeah, or
and smoked that one.
The Milwaukee game where I think Malik Monk missed 2 free throws and De'Aaron Fox missed 1.
Yeah, and then Dame hits the 35-footer.
Yep.
I mean, the number of games they lost that last year where you go, okay, a good team, like even Boston. Like Boston had a game like didn't they lose a game by like 40 points last year?
Yeah.
It just every once in a while you're going to turn in a stinker.
No, that totally happens.
So it's not you got to be perfect, but it felt like the Kings did that a couple times, and by December we're like, all right, well you can't have any more losses like that, and they just kept doing.
They kept, yeah, and I mean I think it's one thing
so frustrating
to when we get to the end of the season and you see how good the Houston Rockets became throughout the season. They finished 41-41, but like a young try-hard team that has like top to bottom outside of the Boston Celtics, I think 1 through like 14, they're probably the most talented team in the
Who's this?
The Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
In the NBA. I don't even know that it's that close.
From a raw like talent standpoint, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have that. I'm TBD on whether they're a cohesive like basketball team.
Yeah.
But from a pure talent perspective, I totally agree with you. They're insane.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at like just go down the roster. Dylan Brooks, Reggie Bullock, they added Tari Eason, Jalen Green, Jeff Green is back, Aaron Holiday, but then it just is this right? Oh no. Let me look at this season. Yeah, I mean, they just have a ton of talent. And it's not just talent, it's like Reed Shepherd is a rookie for this team, but Brooks, Van Vliet, Jalen Green, Jeff Green, Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Steven Adams is back, Jayshawn Tate, AJ Griffin, who retired, but Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Alperen Şengün. I mean,
that's Tari Eason who said yeah, by the way. Go on, sorry.
Well, that's it. Like that's their team. Like they are so young and so talented. Like it's okay to go 0-4. When we get to the end of the season, it's not okay to go 0-4 against Houston, but it would have been okay to go 2-2. It would have been okay to go 1-3 and have a couple of weird beats. But to get blown out by them a couple of times, like
those 2 games early in the year were weird.
Yeah,
that was just odd.
The other games they didn't play well against them either.
Just,
so and then the other one that you have to circle is the Pelicans. You can't lose to the Pelicans 5 times in the regular season and a playing game.
Can you go 1-4 against the Pelicans?
Can you just 1-4? 1-4 against the Pelicans and you win those other 4 games that we talked about? You're a 51-win team.
Come on. I mean,
I don't think we're asking too much.
I hope not.
No.
I really hope not. It's so funny looking across. So in the West, you're talking about bad teams in the West, like West teams that if the Kings lose, it's like, ooh, you can't lose that one. These things change throughout the year. Schedule dictates a good or bad loss sometimes. Facing the Utah Jazz on the second night of a road back-to-back is so much different than hosting the Utah Jazz when they're on the second night of a back-to-back and you're at home, right? Now all of a sudden, like that's more the game you need to win, right? But the Kings, I think there's one team in the West, as Portland, where you're like, that's a genuinely awful team. I don't think Portland's going to be very good.
Okay.
And again, schedule dictates this. Injuries can dictate this. Like this will change throughout the year. But right now, as we sit here on October 3rd, on day 3 of training camp, I think not Utah, Portland is the only team in the West that I look at and go, that no chance.
I would agree with you, but even Portland, you're like, okay, just go down the like Anthony Simons, very solid scorer. We don't know what Shaden Sharp is going to be, but
he can jump.
You love the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Scoot Henderson,
Scoot, yep,
clean, right? But then they didn't trade Grant. They traded for Denny Avija. They still have DeAndre Ayton. They brought in the Time Lord. They still have Matisse Thybulle. So all of a sudden you're like, huh. I mean, if they piece it together, you're like, okay, maybe. Yeah. Like, I don't want to say that Portland's going to be good, but I definitely think that Portland is a team where, like, could they win 34, 35 games? Maybe, probably not.
What were they at last year? 20, 21?
22.
22.
No, 21. You're right, 21. And then, like San Antonio, I think everyone in the world thinks San Antonio is going to be way better than they were the year before.
So, that's just it. San Antonio figures to be better. Yeah. Right? They're just a better roster now. Wemby is ascending. Memphis, I'm going up from the bottom in the standings last year. Memphis, assuming Ja's healthy, they're going to be better.
They're going to be better. I don't know how much better. I mean, are they a 40? Are they a 500 team? They're probably a 500 team.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
If they're a 500 team, that means they improve by 14 wins. That's a lot. Improving by 14 is a lot.
It's a lot, but
I hear people talk about the Grizzlies as though pencil them in there with Denver and Dallas, and I'm like, what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong on this. Maybe Memphis is just awesome. I need to see it before I'm ready to just pencil them in as a playoff team in the West again. That is a massive leap.
Well, that, and they went from 51 to 27, so they had 24 game fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we all know what happened as far as Ja missed suspended 22 games, 20 whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then he came back, he played a couple of games and ripped his shoulder out.
He played 9 games.
But then if you look at the rest of their season, where like they're pulling up G League players, they're signing 10-day contracts to guys and starting them. I mean, that's how they went the rest of the season. Look at how many players played on their roster last year. I still have major concerns because they have all kinds of injuries already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jaren Jackson's already hurt, but so is some of their young guys. I mean, they've already lost. Brandon Clark's coming back from injury, and he can actually be a player for them.
Mm-hmm.
Vince Williams and Zaire Williams is gone, but Vince Williams is hurt, and so is
Gigi
is gone.
He's hurt.
Yeah, but he's hurt. Like
he's out for the year.
I don't think it's for the year, but he broke his foot or something. Like there's a concern about like it's going to be a while. I can't exactly remember. So we can say, hey, they're going to. But on top of that, Dylan Brooks is no longer there. Tyus Jones is no longer there. Steven Adams is no longer there. They're not the same group they were 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Their depth is completely different, completely changed, and I don't think that like Ja is worth like a good 10 wins for sure. And maybe even the 14 wins to get you back to 500.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of that squad, like they haven't shown you that they can stay healthy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they lost a ton. They lost just a ton of talent and a lot of veteran leadership and a lot of guys that you can put out there for 25 to 30 minutes a night and know what you're getting. None of that is happening at this point. Their roster is filled with a bunch of question marks, and they could be good, but
right. And maybe somebody said, imagine if the Warriors were without Steph or the Kings were without Fox for a season and then got him back. Sure, but I'm factoring that.
Mm-hmm.
And so 500 might be low, but still 45, 46, 47. That's a play-in team.
Yeah,
you figure like that. 20 wins is a lot.
To think that they can get to 47 wins, a 20-game jump, that's crazy to me.
Right. I'm not going to rule it out because I do think that Ja, when he's healthy, is special and a game changer for them. But man, I like I said, I've got to see it first. I don't want to take it off the table, but I'm just not. Either way, we've gotten into the weeds here. I believe Memphis is gonna be significantly better than they were last year.
I would agree with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Utah. I don't think they're going to be good, but they're not going to be an easy out.
No, I think they are who they are. Like we heard it last year from Sarah London that this is a team that they thought was. Am I wrong?
Sarah.
Yeah. London, Utah Jazz writer. Am I?
That is not her last name.
Oh no, you're right. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is so embarrassing. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. Why is
I'll
my
remember.
brain gone sideways?
Yeah. Todd. Sarah Todd.
Sarah Todd. There we go.
Oh.
Thank you. We heard from her last year where she said, like, look, the Jazz think that they're a playoff team, like coming into the season, and they're going to, they think that they're building something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that that's the same thought that the process they have this year. Like this year, they paid Laurie, but I also think that they're in a mode where they're waiting for all these first round picks that they have to sort of cash in, and see what they have with the young guys. So if they won 27 to 32 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, 31-51 last year.
That's the same team they are this year.
Yeah, but again, not a team that you look at on the schedule and go, okay, rolling them.
Yeah.
Like maybe. I think the Kings are just a really hard matchup for them. But still, not a team that stinks. And the comp here. Jumping over to the East real quick: Detroit, Washington, Charlotte, Toronto, Brooklyn. That's 5 teams that could all win like 25 or fewer games.
I think the one I'd circle is Toronto and say they probably have a good chance to be a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Like, there's a possibility that Toronto jumps up as a 500 team, maybe a little bit above.
Wow.
But the rest of them, no.
Like really bad. Like not really, really bad.
Really bad.
Right.
Which is why you can't lose to them. But
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, And then Houston is next. They just missed the play-in. And then the rest of the teams were play-in or playoff teams last year. I think you could see a team like the Clippers fall out. I don't think the Clippers are winning 50 again.
Nope.
But I also don't think the Clippers are going to be 25 and 46 or 56 or whatever.
No, I definitely think that there are wins.
57.
As many. Okay, so the variance of wins from the bottom, the bottom teams. So, like, again, I think the Spurs will win, let's say 33 games. They'll have an 11-game boost. I think Portland will win 27, 28. So let's say 6-7 games. I think Memphis will probably win like 13, 14 games more than they won last year. I think Houston's probably the same team. I mean, I think Utah's probably the same team. I think Houston is around the same team, maybe 44, 45 wins. But where are you going to get the rest of the wins to balance that? And I do think that the Golden State Warriors are in for a long season. That 46 wins, I would be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna take 8 wins right there.
Really?
Yeah.
You think the Warriors are going to win 38 games?
Yeah.
Because they lost Klay Thompson?
Yeah, but they didn't just lose Klay Thompson. They got a year older, and I don't know that a lot of their players, that their peripheral players are any better. I mean, you're counting on Wiggins being your second best player.
Oh, well.
Am I wrong?
Am
I wrong?
No.
I don't think.
Maybe.
I mean, like Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson don't really move any
watch Kyle Anderson
move any needle there. So, like, I'm at least intrigued, but like, look, at the end of the day, that team probably is not going to be the same team they were the year before. I think that there's a lot of dysfunction with the Pelicans, and they also don't have an
Pelicans
NBA
are
center.
a weird team.
I think that they could take like a 4 to 5 game hit there. I think the Lakers could take like a 6 to 7 game hit there and be like a 500 team. And then I think you can look at the Clippers, which 5-6 more losses there. And then I got to be honest with you, Minnesota, for me,
Minnesota's not winning 56 games again.
That's the other team where you're like, okay, I could see them winning 49.
I think Denver too.
Yeah, Denver could take a couple of steps back, but Denver is still a really solid built team. Like, they just don't have the depth that they've had in the past. I still look at them as like a 52, 53 win team and a team that you're fearing in the playoffs.
Sure.
So, but a lot like OKC, 57 wins. Okay, you can write that one in a pen.
Yeah. OKC might.
Yeah, Dallas at 50 wins. I'd probably give them 2 more wins.
I think there's a world where OKC is just it rides a meteor into space this year.
Yeah,
like that doesn't work. It rides a I don't know what
I don't know.
Has a meteoric rise this year.
Yeah. I mean, they already did 57 wins from where they were the year before. That's a meteoric rise.
Yeah, I mean, like in the postseason though, like where they they figure it all out.
You got to remember they won 40 the year before.
That's crazy.
I mean, they took a 17-game leap, and a 17-game leap. It's one thing to make a leap from 30 to 40 to 48, like the 18-game leap the Kings did. To go from 40 to 57?
Yeah.
What in the world? That is crazy.
I thought they'd be a lot better last year, but 57 that was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's funny. You try and do the same exercise in the East, and you start at the top. Okay, Boston, obviously
82-0.
The favorite. They're still the best team in the league. The Knicks, I think, got better with the Karl Anthony Towns trade, but also the Knicks are super thin. Losing Dante DiVincenzo is a pretty significant deal.
Yeah,
I don't. Who's their seventh guy?
Well, I don't know.
I don't. Right. I wasn't expecting you to know off the top of your head. That was more rhetorical.
Miles McBride.
He's probably their sixth guy.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's like Precious Chichua. Is that what we're doing? I have some concerns about the Knicks and Tibbs running them into the ground, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, I think, could be a little bit better this year. They were 49 and 33 a year ago. It wouldn't surprise me if they were a couple wins better. Cleveland's about the same.
Yeah, about the same, maybe a little bit better because
48 to 50.
Maybe Mobley found himself a little bit.
Yeah.
That's still the team that you're just wondering, like, why didn't you guys make a move? Like, especially the Brandon Ingram thing, like, it just made too much sense. Why, like, Jared Allen for Brandon Ingram would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a strange team building in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Orlando could be a little better. I like Orlando. I
think
what
they'll
they're
be
doing.
better.
Indiana, probably about the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to surprise anybody like they did last year. I think Indiana will probably win more games than they did the previous year. You also have to remember that that Tyrese Halliburton missed quite a bit of time, and if he doesn't miss quite a bit of time and sort of finds himself, I think they'll be. I mean, they could win 50 for sure.
And then Philly should be better. Philly was 47 and 35 last year. You figure you pencil them in to be a little better.
Yeah.
After that, I'm out. Miami, no. Chicago, no. Atlanta, no.
Chicago,
Brooklyn, no.
Atlanta, Brooklyn all took huge step backwards.
Toronto, no. Charlotte, Washington, no.
Nope.
It's in the West. You go through and you can kind of talk. You're like, okay, I can see this team in the 40s, 41, you know. And then in the East, it's just after Philly, get them out of my face.
Yeah,
no chance.
It's funny, and the bottom of the Eastern Conference, like, there is a huge top tier talent in this year's draft, and teams are going to be playing for Cooper Flag.
Yes,
they are.
Yep.
And so
capture the flag.
Exactly.
The hashtag.
Expect a huge amount of these teams: the Bulls, the Hawks, the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, Pistons, to midway through the season go, oh, yep, we know who we're playing for. Oh, we got to go to break.
Yeah, we do. It's basketball season when we're doing that. Okay, we'll be back in a second. We got a Devontae Adams update. We'll take a look at the NFL playoff picture as well, since we were just doing that with the NBA, and it was fun. So we'll do that, and we'll have the handoff with Damian Barling, and Katie from the Wake Up Call is also going to jump in here because she thinks it's so funny that they get to go to Disneyland and we don't. That's all coming up next on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader.
Like, I don't hate the Warriors. I'm just being realistic. I mean, they're counting on like a revitalized Kevon Looney to stay where they are, and again, I like Trace Jackson Davis and I like Moses Moody and Kuminga
pods,
but like, name that early 2010 Sacramento Kings team that didn't have that type of talent. They did. And probably more.
Just skewering United States hero Stephen Curry.
Curry's
unbelievable.
Curry's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Hmm.
Hey,
Oh.
Jesse, can you hear me? Oh, no, he's probably at that meeting.
We have all these high-level meetings that we're not parts of. They don't invite us.
I'll pass on this, Leezy. Prista.
Oh, Mariah Carey.
Oh, never mind.
Big Boss Lady.
Second day in a row. We're not going to go do a joke at the meeting.
Yeah. Okay, we've got DeQuan. No, he's not there anymore. Shamit. Didn't they have to waive?
Landry Shamit, get him out of my face, dude.
I thought they had to waive him though. Precious Achua. They brought in Cameron Payne. Campaign, which I know you love.
As their seventh guy?
They also have Pakwame Dadier. There we go. Tyler Kolek, which I've never heard of that person. I think
that's like the number 7 overall pick from Marquette.
George Mason, Marquette. He was a second round pick.
Oh, he's mocked to go in the first round.
Okay, so we got Mikhail, Miles McBride, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo's now gone. Keita Bates Diop. Didn't they have to move him in one of these deals? Maybe not.
Yeah, mock draft had Tyler Kolek going as high as 15 to Miami.
Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims could actually have to play it. Oh, wait. Did Jericho get traded? Oh, man. They don't have an updated
can't guarantee
roster.
that any of these guys are not on Charlotte.
This is wild. What a roster. I have never heard of Ariel Hookporte.
Not.
Who is a 7-foot rookie. I don't even know who this guy is. He was a 28th pick, fifth in the second round of this year's draft. The 58th overall selection. Ariel, again,
here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, we're here till noon. Download the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show podcast. That's this program in podcast form.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Tune in.
Get it wherever you get your podcast. Even if you don't want to listen, subscribing, it would do wonders for us.
Have we uploaded all the podcasts this week? Because I haven't, because I've been
dude,
Kings.
I am so locked in.
Oh, sweet.
I am absolutely crushing it back here. Pause.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, podcasts have been going up. They didn't go up a couple days last week when you were out because I just forgot.
Oh yeah.
I just forgot that that's a thing that I have to do when you're not here. So this week they've been going out though. That's a one-time mistake from your boy.
Okay.
We're so back.
We're locked and loaded.
We're so locked and loaded. Again, the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show. That's wherever you get your podcasts. And also want to remind you, D-Lo and KC are with you until 4:00. And then once their show ends, we're going to have playoff baseball for you. Win or go home between the Mets and the Brewers. Been a super fun series there in the wild card round in Milwaukee. Really good crowds in Milwaukee.
Good.
Yeah, it's been that's been an enjoyable series. The Padres are geo-blocking ticket purchases on their website. So if you try and go to the Padres website and you live outside of this very specific area of Southern California / Southern Nevada / Northern Arizona,
okay,
you are not allowed to buy tickets.
Oh.
So if I tried to go buy tickets right now from Padres.com, if I, and brand new Padres fan, if I decided, hey, because my buddy and I texted like, hey, you know what? We should just caution to the wind, find if there's an NLDS game we can go to. We should just go. We're just going to get tickets and go.
Just drive down or fly or what?
Yeah, well, he lives in Arizona. I live up here. So we meet in the middle. I don't know how I would get there. But again, we're like, hey,
Okay.
Even if I was going to do that, we would have to go aftermarket tickets because we both live outside the little range that you're allowed to buy tickets.
I've got a kid down there who could buy your tickets for you.
I'm sure
I know people.
they're sold out at this point, but
Yes.
yeah, the vibes in San Diego just incredible. They swept the Braves last night, and I just want to go to a playoff game there.
Okay.
I would really love that. Did you see the video going around of everybody singing All the Small Things? Or not All the Small Things. Yeah, All the Small Things
Okay.
by Blink-182.
Yeah.
Because Tom DeLonge, the former guitarist or lead singer or whatever he was for Blink-182, was in the building.
Oh.
And they started playing All the Small Things, and the entire crowd was singing. It was unbelievable.
Just a bunch of
I want to
drunk
go
people.
so bad. Playoff baseball is so different because baseball during the regular season, right? You can go to a game, you get your beer, you might have a seat open in front of you or next to you, so you can kind of spread out and hang out, and people are up and in and out of their seats, and you got people rolling in the 5th inning, and just it's a great time. It's just all hanging out. Maybe 9th inning gets ratcheted up a little bit, but for the most part, Playoff baseball is like in your seat at first pitch and you don't move.
Yeah,
the level of electricity is so much higher. It's like a different sport.
I totally agree.
It's so sick.
It's
so
not like
fun.
a leisure like hangout.
No,
yeah.
no. It's like it's as if because at this job, right, where we work, it's very like laid back, right? It would be like if we walked in one day and they were like, "You need to be here at 8:00, and you need to print a rundown, and you need to da 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 da." It would like just like the urgency and the intensity is so much higher than normal.
Is there radio stations that happens at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called 95.7 The Game.
I don't know.
Shout out to our sister station down in San Francisco. I love everybody over there.
I love that I am not a long-term radio guy, so I don't know. I don't have any preconceived like.
Well, I went from choose your words carefully, a very laissez-faire situation of management at the radio station I was at.
Okay.
To 95.7, which is like, it's fun. It is a fun atmosphere, but the urgency is so much higher. There's a lot more meetings. There's, it's just, the day-to-day is a lot more intense. Like I said, the environment's still fun. You still have a great time. You still joke around and, having a fun time with it. But like, it's very much like
structured and what's happening next.
Yes. Yeah. Like the rundown process that I go through, like where it's, going through and creating this thing that works for me and this doc, it's like, that's the entire show meets with the boss. And we're going over like, what do we think is going to work? What do we think is not going to work? What are we tossing out? How do we want to structure? It is like oh
no.
And the shows go how they go. Like it goes, the shows go like this, but just the process of getting where we go is so much more intense.
That's wild.
Like you and I sit down and we're like, okay, we got this in there. We got this. Oh, you know what? Hey, I want to open with this, or you know what? Hey, I don't think this works today. Let's kick this to tomorrow. This works later in the show. Like we do that, but it's just you and I kind of going over it. It's not Charlie and a producer that we don't have,
I mean, we did open the show with Kevin Herter's headband and me singing.
If you missed it, we've done it. Kevin Herter no longer wearing his headband. I forgot. I'm so glad you brought this back up. I'm so happy.
Oh, amazing.
Anyways, I forget what started that.
I don't know either, but that's
salute to the homies at 95.7.
Yeah.
Anyways, apparently Devontae Adams wants to go to the Jets.
Okay.
Wants to reunite with Aaron Rodgers.
You know what I would do if I were him?
What's that?
I would wait until after this weekend and see if Aaron Rodgers is still standing again after he plays the Vikings. And
True.
then make my
That's
decision.
an overseas game too.
And then make my decision. Like, you know what? Aaron Rodgers is no longer there, so I don't want to go there anymore. Wouldn't that be like amazing if he gets traded but he's not there for this weekend, and then Aaron Rodgers gets like
sidelined for a significant period of time,
run over by the Minnesota Vikings blitzing defense and can't can't perform the rest of the season, and now he's in another situation he's unhappy with.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, that's why I would like if I'm him, I would be saying,
Didn't he
hey,
go? Didn't
send me
he?
to Green Bay?
Didn't he go to Vegas to play with Derek Carr?
Yeah,
I mean,
go to Green Bay. Go to New Orleans.
So reporting today said that Devontae Adams is not going to try and force a trade to one spot, and that the Raiders are going to take the best deal out there. Are the Raiders under any obligation to help him out?
No,
I don't think they are.
no.
It's not like Devontae Adams has devoted his entire career to the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's like, you know what? Hey, salute. We appreciate you. Here's a solid on the way out the door. Like, nah, he's a really good player. This is not about Devontae Adams and whether he's good or not. It's just, I don't know that the Raiders owe him anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a weird situation there. I do believe that the Raiders have created this mess themselves. They're the ones who traded for a player so he could play with his college teammate quarterback, and then didn't retain his college teammate quarterback in the next season.
Yeah, I don't
know.
They got to build. Look, dude, the Raiders are in a space where they have to focus on building the best possible team. Like they don't get to mess around with, hey, you know what? Some team offered 2 second-round picks for Devontae Adams, but he really wanted to go to the Jets. They were offering a 3rd and a 6th, so we just took those 2 and sent it. You're not in a spot to do that. They have enough talent that they should be able to start contending sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but the way I look at the Raiders is the way that I look at like the Sacramento Kings for the entire 90s, where every single year they had the 7th pick in the draft. They're not bad enough, either 7 or 8. Like, you name your player, Bobby Hurley, Lionel Simmons, Walt Williams, all the 7th pick in the draft. Like
Harrison Barnes.
You have to either be bad or you've got to be good. And if you're caught in the middle, it's like the most horrendous thing, because look what happened last year. We talked about this. We got to the towards the end of of the season. If the Raiders at one point, the Raiders were like the 4th pick in the draft. All they had to do was lose. But they decided that that's not what they're going to do. They're going to do culture building. So we're going to win some games.
Well, the players aren't going to quit.
No, but every single game that they won moved them from the 8th spot to the 9th spot to the 11th spot to where they finished, the 14th, 13th.
Yeah.
Okay. The 13th. And then what do we say about the 13th pick in the draft? None of the good quarterbacks were left.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't have won, if you would have been bad, you would have got the quarterback you needed. You could have brought in Gardner Minshew and had him be a mentor to a legitimate young prospect quarterback, but that's not what you did. And so they're caught in this like ugly middle that is, it's definitely the NBA and it's definitely the NFL, where in order in the NFL to move from number 13 to number 5 or 6, you're talking massive haul.
But that's right. But that's just what I'm saying though. Is okay, they didn't get a quarterback, but they got Brock Bowers, who's about to set every rookie tight end record that's ever been. And they have Max Crosby. And I know Malcolm Kuntz is out for the year, but that's a big fan. You still have him on your roster next season. Robert Spillane has had a career revival with the Raiders. And all of a sudden you start to piece all these things together and you go, man, they're not that far off where you can't turn down again, this is just hypothetical, purely hypothetical. They're not in a space where they can turn down 2 second-round picks if that's what somebody's going to give them because they want to send them to the Jets, who are offering less.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Like that, they're just not. They are not 6 years away. They're not. Hey, tear it all down. Like there's enough of a foundation there that I think you got to go for it a little bit. Ideally, Devontae Adams would be part of that. It's clearly not going to be the case. So go get the best deal you can. And it looks like that's what the Raiders are inclined to do, which I'm in their corner.
Yeah, I hope they do. But at the same time, I just like the long-term, what is the long-term plan? And, there's the mantra, like failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah.
And that's where they are. Like you're walking into the season, just like you walked in the last season, Jimmy Garoppolo as your guy. Now you've got the other version, a mustachioed version of Jimmy Garoppolo, in Gardner Minshew, and you're basically in the same situation where your long term, you've got Crosby, you've got Bowers, but like franchises in the NFL are built from the quarterback position out.
Yeah.
And they just don't have like any plan.
We'll see if that continues to be the case, by the way. I'm interested to see with how things are kind of going with some of the rookies this year, if that continues to be the case. Or if you start to see teams plug a quarterback into a better situation. But
well, I think that they're
whole other thing.
That's going to be like the thing that, it's a copycat league.
Yeah.
They're going to do that. The Sam Darnold play is going to happen repeatedly.
Real quick before Katie and Damian come in, no need for the Niners to get involved in the Devontae Adams stuff. I know it's always like nothing makes an NFL fan dumber than an available wide receiver. And that's not their biggest issue. We can continue talking about this because it's time for the handoff. And I'm so excited for this. I can't tell you. I got to make sure I've got the correct mic stuff. There we go. Okay. I can't tell you how excited I was when Damian called me this morning. Well, first of all, I was terrified when he called me this morning. I grew up in an age where when you call me, it probably means something bad is going on. And so when Damian Barling calls my phone at 9:56 a.m., 4 minutes before my show starts, I'm like, oh no. But luckily, I
realized that might have been a little jarring.
Extremely jarring. I don't like it one bit. But it's okay because you had great news that Katie from the Wake Up Call on 106.5 The End is here. What's up?
I'm making my debut, you guys.
Have you never been on this radio station before?
Never.
Wow, that's big time.
It feels like big time.
Do the Raiders owe Devontae Adams anything in a trade?
It's a great question, and I thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I need your help.
She does have thoughts on Sean McVay that she can share at a later time.
They're probably the same thoughts my wife has about Sean McVay.
I don't know. I don't think so. Not the tone that she struck. It didn't feel like it.
The Rams coach?
Yes.
Are we in or out?
Some thoughts.
Oh.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well,
go ahead.
I think that he showed up to the game with an F-boy haircut. And it seemed like the 49ers coach just threw something on that day.
I think that's what goes on, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Dress for the job you want.
Yep.
There it
right?
is.
That's what I do.
Well,
T-shirt and joggers. Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here because
let's
I need
talk
your
about,
help.
Yeah, please.
So you guys know that I'm taking Damian
Must be nice.
to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Okay. As my
Sounds
plus
like a
one,
fun time.
Yes.
as my special guest.
Yes.
I need your help to sprinkle some Disney magic and fill his heart with Disney pride.
I do this every day.
Okay, well, it hasn't
Come on.
worked very well.
You do
Oh.
fill my heart with pride. It's just not necessarily Disney pride.
Okay,
Thank you.
so first of all, don't you think he and I should have like matching Etsy shirts?
1,000%.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I will
All right.
tell
No, that's
you,
good. I'm going to remember that from both of you for the record, but okay, good.
I will say it's going to be a low budget, and I do apologize for that. I know that doesn't necessarily work for you, but it's going to say something like
It's not a Louis Vuitton matching
no,
Like-
no,
Yeah,
it's
no.
probably like
Off-White.
Amazon Basics,
Oh.
and then somebody will just screen print something on
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have the Disneyland app?
I downloaded
it's
it this
not-
morning.
I'm so
Okay,
proud
right.
of you.
It's a
Thank
must
you.
have.
It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's how
I
we
even
do-
allowed push notifications to my phone.
Wow.
Yes,
This is
it's
so
big
big
time.
time. Oh my gosh. This is
Oh my
so
God,
exciting.
We're getting so close. We're getting so close. That's where you're going to load your tickets.
Okay.
Okay. That's how we're going to check our wait times.
Yeah.
For
What about our magic?
magic bands?
I'm so jealous you guys get magic bands.
They're going to give us magic bands. Okay. Help me explain magic
James,
bands.
we're getting hosed here.
This is
Uh,
absolutely ridiculous.
yeah,
We don't get to take part in any of this.
A magic band allows you to get into the park. So you
Well,
don't
to
have
be
have, like, a
clear,
ticket.
I'm only taking part in it because someone got sick.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like,
No, you
oh,
don't need
let's
to rub it
bring
in."
good old D'Lo. It was like, well, crap, we
You're
have
like,
to send somebody to
"Ugh."
film Katie. So send D'Lo. He does just about anything.
Yeah.
It's literally the one station he hasn't worked for yet. Let's send him.
You're
That
like
is a little
Mikey.
bit.
You like everything.
Pretty much.
So this is where you should have started right here. You got to get him some Air Force Ones that are Disney branded
Okay,
Air Force
Disney
Ones.
Descendants.
Kind of fun. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
No, all right.
Okay,
No,
I
the wheels
see
are
that.
turning.
Okay, here we go.
The
I
wheels are turning.
just thought of a particular brand that actually has Mickey Mouse on their shoes and
Come
Donald
on.
Duck.
Come on.
No, I just thought of one.
See?
Let's
This
go.
is big time.
Okay.
Is it Vans?
No.
Oh,
No, it's
No.
Crocs.
No.
Clearly, Damien's gonna be out there wearing Disney Crocs.
Right.
okay. So
of
we're gonna have the
course.
matching tees. Okay,
Okay,
very good.
so he doesn't know anything about Haunted Mansion. I mean, he knows nothing, Kyle. He
The
knows
first time
nothing.
he experiences Haunted Mansion is
it
gonna
will
be.
have the Nightmare Before Christmas
Oh my
overlay.
God.
Oh, that's the
Oh my
best.
God.
That's my favorite.
Do you
Okay.
see how lucky you are?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
I do. James is a big Nightmare Before Christmas guy.
Are you?
Yeah, so we have the 13-foot tall Jack in our front yard. We have Oogie Boogie, like the
You know, the actor
giant
just
animated
died.
one.
R.I.P.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I know, just yesterday.
We
I know.
also have
May he sleep with the angels.
we've got animated Sally, which is like almost 6 feet tall, and then we just got Zero this year.
I just
So
fell
Holly.
in love with you.
Yeah, well,
This is very exciting for me.
Yeah.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
this is the first time we've had two gingers on the show at one time. Look at this.
And how does it feel, guys?
Soulless.
Great. Thanks for that. Okay. Now we will be staying at the Grand Californian.
What
Oh.
is happening?
I'm so sorry.
Wait
No,
a minute.
No, please,
Hey.
please, no, please.
Hey!
Your show now.
Wow! So okay.
Okay,
So
so
this
it
is a
really
big
is-
deal.
This is D-Lo
This
and
is
KT now.
D-Lo and KT. Yes,
Okay.
we've saved on marketing materials by just changing
Just
a letter of the
changing
show.
one letter,
D-Lo
and
and
KT.
KT.
Okay.
Seriously.
How do you feel?
So that's a big deal,
it's
apparently.
a big deal. It's a
It's a-
beautiful
It is
hotel.
so sick.
It's an expensive deal. It's what it
Yeah.
is.
And it's not like it's Disney-fied, but not like in your face, like cartoonish style.
It's gorgeous.
It is a beautiful hotel.
And
And
also,
you roll
it
out
is
of
like
bed
it
and
is-
you're in the park.
I got
Yeah.
here. Like I have a friend who gets discounts at this hotel, and I
Mhm.
said, "Oh, I might take Heather, my wife, down there for our anniversary. Let me hit the plug on the discounts. Like with a discount, we're talking like $650 a night hotel.
Mm.
she
Okay.
pretty.
Okay.
She real pretty. She real fancy.
Okay.
Gorgeous pool.
Yeah, the best.
How do you feel?
Are we going swimming?
Well, here's my question. And
Yes.
I am in the throes of the sexual harassment training right now. I have not finished it, but I do. How do you feel about hot tub time?
Oh no.
Because I do love a Disney hot tub.
As always,
Oh,
lots
no,
of dis-
hang on. No, I'm so mad. Go ahead, sorry.
Is it like Mickey shaped a hot tub? Is there?
Not, probably not at Grand California. You know what? You think-
Kevin warned me about this. I do want to be clear. Kevin warned me about Katie hot tub time.
break
I
ass.
just- Break what?
He said that sometimes I get a little drinky and I like to get in the hot tub.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I was
Oh.
very confused about that,
It's
but I
the-
guess this makes sense.
It's not
That's a
wrong.
very good Kevin.
Does it?
Thank you. Yeah.
Just saying.
Trader Sam's.
Obviously,
Okay.
Oh.
Could you try to explain Trader Sam's to him?
it's a tiki bar.
It's a okay. That dude, come on. It's so much more than that. Based on the drinks everyone orders, the like windows change, things shake.
Oh, I've never sat inside.
Yeah, because we're not bougie at
yeah,
Disney.
we're
not these guys.
We pull up and sit outside.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry that they've treated you like this. Because when you order specific drinks, different things happen. Sometimes, like a volcano erupts in all the windows, and then
I'm so excited that Damien's gonna get to experience all the stuff that I've never gotten to experience. This is cool.
He's not even going to appreciate any of it because
And
he's going to
that's
be
the
already
annoying-
off
Why
of
are
it.
you talking about me like I'm not here?
I do
Okay,
think
hey
we need
Damien,
to
are you
help
gonna
him.
like super love it?
I'm sure I will.
I hope so.
Katie has promised my heart will be filled
Yeah, Disney
with love.
magic.
Magic. Sorry.
I think I take down 3 glizzy.
Well, I don't know why that was played.
The one final issue I do have, and this is my concern. Have you ever seen the way how slow he walks?
It's more of a like saunter.
I was going to say saunter.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
He almost floats.
Mhm.
Okay, we can't. That's not a Disney stroll.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can make that walk down Main Street when you first pull up,
When you first pull up,
and you're just kind of enjoying the atmosphere
right,
and the vibe.
drinking it
but
in. And after that, we gotta.
yeah, you got to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
I don't know what to tell you two.
It's a lot of walking.
You're an athletic person.
I've been moving at the same pace my entire life.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That
Well,
pace is going to need to
Yeah, we are
go
gonna
faster.
No, this
Go-
is great.
go
No,
like
no,
when you-
this is
when
good.
cancel
when you
the-
John
work out-
Bull trashing D'Lo like he's not in the room is my new favorite crossover tradition. This is good.
when you work out with Matt Patricia, what pace do you move at then?
Matt Patricia,
Isn't that what you say? MattPatricia.com?
MattPatrician.com. Train
Matt-
with Matt, not Matt.
Patricia.
Matt Patricia.
No,
thought it was
I
Matt-
work out with Greg.
Oh,
No.
Oh, okay,
no,
got it.
you
Okay,
just-
my
it was
okay,
all
my
sorts of
bad.
wrong.
I'm sorry.
I think
My
the
bad.
question does
No, it's
stand
good.
though. How fast do you move?
I don't
then?
move. Well,
When you exercise.
I move faster.
You
Yeah,
do?
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so you can.
Okay.
I don't like that tone. First of all, I don't like
What
that.
I'm saying is that means that there is potential for you. Disneyland potential.
Don't you
Okay.
guys live in the roughly the same neighborhood ish? Why don't
Yes.
We live right by each
you
other.
take him out on the path and say, "This
Go
is how
walk him.
Just
this
like
is how
this is
fast we have to walk,
Right,
brother.
come on. Come
Let's
on.
go."
Did you just suggest that she walk me?
I didn't say you're wearing a leash, man.
Oh, look at the time. We got 20 seconds.
Right, all
D'Lo
right,
and
boys.
KC coming up next. You can hear Katie on the wake up call every morning from 5:30 to 10.
5:30 to 10.
5:30 to 10. Anything else?
Nope.
What do you guys got
No,
coming up on
clearly
D'Lo and
not.
KC?
Anything? Do you three have anything else?
Vision is important too, because there's going to be people, there going to be children, and you got to
He'll
like
get there.
dodge
Kyle,
and-
he's gonna get there. I'm gonna get
I
him there.
believe in it. It's going to be a great time. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah.
The,
It's gonna be
the,
great.
the bit aside, I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I was a little more excited 15 minutes ago, but it's fine.
Before the Etsy shirt, right?
Yeah, well,
Oh God. Thanks, guys.
D'Lo and KC coming up next. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insiders. Back tomorrow at 10. Until then, drink water and be nice, people.
good job, Katie.